The stranger in the rain. The rain poured hard over the ruined settlement, turning the cracked metal streets into rivers of mud. A lone human wandered through the desolate place, his boots squelching in the wet, his coat soaked through. He had been searching for scraps, old food, anything to survive another day. When he heard soft cries from a collapsed building, cautiously he approached, holding his hand up to shield his face from the cold wind. Peering through the shadows, he saw two small figures huddled together. Shivering and pale, their wide eyes filled with fear, the human knelt down and spoke in a gentle voice. "Hey, are you okay? Can I help you?" The girls flinched, their bodies pressing close against each other, whispering words in a language he could not understand. One of them, slightly older, peeked out, her eyes shining in the dim light. She pointed to her empty hands and then to her stomach, making him understand they were hungry without hesitation. The human reached into his coat and pulled out a small packet of dried food. Holding it out, the girls hesitated for a moment, fear and trust warring in their expressions, but hunger won. Slowly, they took the food, their fingers brushing his, and he felt a strange warmth in his chest, a connection forming despite the silence. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the wet streets, sharp and fast. The human's head snapped toward the noise, and he saw distant figures, alien patrols, scanning. For survivors, his heart raced, but he kept his voice steady. "We need to move." Now, the girls looked at him, uncertain, their small bodies trembling. He gestured for them to follow, guiding them through narrow alleys and over broken walls, careful not to make a sound. The rain soaked them all, but they kept moving, hiding under scraps of metal and fallen beams. Each step was a gamble. Each sound could mean danger. After what felt like hours, they reached the edge of the settlement, where a rocky hill rose from the ground. Partially hidden by tall debris, the human motioned for them to climb, and they scrambled up, slipping in the mud, their small hands grabbing his coat for support. At the top, he found a shallow cave, just enough to shelter them from the rain. And patrols. Inside, he lit a small fire using flint and dry wood he had carried. The light flickering across their tired faces, the girls huddled near the warmth, watching him with wide eyes. Unsure of his intentions, he sat down across from them, pulling out a second packet of food, offering it gently. One girl hesitated, but the older one nodded and motioned for the younger to eat. As they chewed, the human noticed their eyes searching his, trying to read him, and he smiled softly. "You're safe here," he said, "for now." The girls exchanged a glance, a silent conversation passing between them and the older one. Whispered "thank you" in halting words, almost a song. The human's chest tightened. The sound of gratitude, simple but powerful, outside. The storm raged, wind howling through the rocks and distant thunder rolling across the sky. The patrols could return at any moment, but for now, in this small cave, there was a fragile peace. The human asked, "What happened to your family?" The older girl's lips trembled, but she shook her head, her eyes full of loss. The younger one clutched her arm, silent tears running down her face. He didn't need words to understand they had lost everything, and now they had only each other and him. Hours passed, the fire crackling, the human keeping watch. He thought of his own past, of being alone, and how small acts of kindness could change a life. The girls slowly leaned against each other, exhaustion overtaking fear. The human allowed himself to relax for a moment, knowing he had done the right thing. But a cold chill ran down his spine. He knew the patrols were still out there, searching, watching. The storm had not ended, and neither had the dangers just before dawn. The older girl whispered something in her alien language, pointing at him. He didn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear. They trusted him, and perhaps, for the first time, felt hope. He nodded, his eyes meeting theirs, silently promising to protect them, no matter the cost. outside, the first rays of light cut through the storm clouds, glinting off the wet streets of the ruined settlement. The patrols had not come yet, but the human knew it was only a matter of time. He wrapped the girls in his coat, holding them close, his mind racing with plans, escape routes, and survival. Tonight, they were safe, but tomorrow, the real challenge would begin. And as the cave filled with the smell of damp earth and fire, the human made a decision. He would not let these girls suffer like he once had. He would guide them, feed them, and protect them, even if it meant putting his own life at risk. The storm outside was fierce, but inside the cave, a small spark of hope had been lit. And for the first time in a long time, the human felt that maybe, just maybe, he had found a purpose beyond survival. The hidden refuge the human led the two girls away from the cave before dawn. The rain had stopped, but the ground was still slick with mud and puddles. He kept his coat tight around them. Feeling their small hands clutching his sleeves, they moved carefully through the jagged rocks, avoiding the main paths where patrols might roam. Every shadow seemed alive. Every sound made the girls flinch. But the human stayed calm. "Keep close," he whispered, "and don't make a sound." The older girl nodded, her eyes scanning the terrain while the younger one looked down, silent but trusting. After an hour of careful walking, they reached a secluded crater hidden behind a ridge of broken stone. The human crouched and examined the area, finding a small hollow that could serve as a temporary refuge. He gestured for the girls to enter, and they slipped inside, their eyes widening at the sight of a natural shelter. It was not much, but it offered protection from the elements and the patrols. The walls of the hollow were damp, but dry moss covered the floor. Softening the hard rock, he started a small fire using flint and dried twigs, and the girls gathered around it, warmth slowly spreading through their chilled bodies. "You can stay here until it's safe to move again," the human said. Keeping his voice low, the older girl tilted her head, studying him with curiosity. "Why? Why help us?" she asked, her voice quiet. He shrugged, glancing at the fire because no one should be left out in the storm alone. The words felt simple, but they carried weight, and the girls exchanged a look for the first time in days. They allowed themselves to relax slightly, the tension easing from their tiny shoulders. The human had learned to survive on his own, but caring for the girls was different. He had to plan meals, keep watch, and think ahead, but he found satisfaction in it, watching them eat with hungry eyes. Listening to the older one try to teach the younger a few words in their alien language, he felt a strange sense of purpose. He realized he could protect them, maybe even give them a chance at life they had never known. Suspense crept in as the wind whistled through the crater, carrying sounds from the outside world. Occasionally, they heard distant voices. The faint clatter of boots on metal, the human stiffened each time, silently guiding the girls to crouch behind rocks. "Stay here," he murmured, and the girls obeyed, holding their breath as the sounds passed. Hours dragged on, and the storm clouds broke into early morning light, painting the hollow in pale gray. For a moment, the world seemed still. But the human knew calm would not last. During the quiet moments, the girls began to share pieces of their past. The older one, her voice trembling, told him of her family, lost in the chaos of a distant raid. The younger one clutched a small Trinketa-carved figure of a starship, her only memory of home. The human listened, nodding, giving them the space to speak, understanding that words could heal even the smallest hearts. He offered them a small blanket from his coat, wrapping it around them, and they leaned against him, feeling safe for the first time in their lives. As the day wore on, the human taught the girls small survival skills. He showed them how to collect water from dew, how to spot dangerous tracks, and how to move quietly through rough terrain. The girls absorbed every lesson with wide eyes, eager and attentive. It was not just survival, They were learning to trust, to rely on someone else. And to hope. The human smiled quietly at their curiosity, realizing that teaching them was giving him a new strength he had never known. Suspense returned as night approached, shadows lengthening across the crater. The patrols could return, or wild creatures could wander into the hollow. The human set small traps around the entrance, careful to make noise alerts in case of danger. He stayed alert, listening to every rustle, every whisper of wind, ready to defend the girls at any cost. They huddled together, close to the fire, sharing warmth and silence, a bond growing stronger with every heartbeat. Before sleep, the older girl handed him a small sketch she had drawn. It was a starship, tall and shining, with people walking. On the deck, smiling, she looked up at him, her alien eyes full of hope. One day, we will go there. The human felt a lump in his throat, a mixture of pride and worry. He nodded. One day. Maybe sooner than you think. The younger girl smiled faintly, leaning against the older one, and for the first time, he saw a spark of joy in their faces. Outside, the wind howled through the rocks, the hollow feeling small against the vast wilderness. The human kept his eyes on the entrance, firelight flickering across his face. Tonight, they were safe, hidden, but the world outside remained dangerous. And yet, in this hidden refuge, a small light of hope had begun to burn. The human whispered to himself, I will not let them be lost. Not while I am here. The dangerous journey. The human woke before dawn, his eyes scanning the horizon. The hollow was quiet, except for the soft breathing of the two girls still asleep. He knew staying in one place too long was dangerous. The patrols would return, and wild creatures roamed freely. He shook them gently awake, whispering, we have to move. Before the sun rises, the older girl blinked sleep from her eyes, nodding quickly, while the younger one clutched the small blanket, her face pale and anxious. They packed their few belongings, the human carrying what little food and water he had. The girls followed closely, stepping carefully over rocks and through wet moss. Every sound made them jump, the smallest noise echoing like thunder in the silent morning. The human kept his voice calm, giving orders in short phrases, guiding them without panic. He had learned long ago that fear could spread quickly, and he could not afford to lose control. The path led them through a narrow canyon, the walls rising. High on either side, the light was dim, and shadows seemed to move on their own. The human stopped suddenly, holding up his hand. A faint noise reached his ears, soft scrape against stone. Almost like claws, he pressed the girls behind him, whispering, stay still. Don't move. Two shapes appeared in the mist, alien beasts, their eyes glowing red in the half-light. The human drew a small energy pistol. Aiming carefully, but not wanting to scare the girls, he fired a warning shot into the air. The sound, sharp and echoing. The beasts froze, their heads tilting. Then they retreated into the shadows. The girls exhaled quietly, relief washing over them. The older girl whispered, They would have eaten us, her voice trembling. The human nodded. Not if I can stop it, he said, his eyes scanning for more dangers. They moved quickly, the canyon walls closing in, every step heavy with tension. By midday, they reached a small river, its water clear and fast-flowing. The human knelt, letting the girls drink carefully. The younger one dipped her hand into the water, splashing lightly, and for a moment she smiled. The older girl watched, still cautious. But she laughed softly, a sound like a distant bell. The human allowed himself a brief smile, but he reminded them, we must keep moving. They crossed the river using fallen logs, the human steadying the girls, making sure no one slipped. As the day passed, the terrain became harsher. Jagged rocks and dead trees stretching across the landscape. The human led them over ridges and through shallow caves, always alert, always listening. The girls began to trust him more, following his every instruction, learning from his quiet strength. The older girl picked up small rocks and twigs, practicing silently what he had shown her about traps and alarms. The younger one tried to repeat a few words he had taught her, a Kalian accent, clumsy but eager. The human felt pride, realizing that these girls were stronger than he first thought. Evening approached, and the sky turned a pale orange. Streaked with clouds, the human found a hidden grove. Sheltered by thick trees and vines, he set up a small fire, letting the girls rest. Their faces streaked with dirt and sweat. The older girl reached into her pocket, pulling out the carved Starship figure. She showed it to him, pointing toward the sky. "We must reach." There, the human nodded. "We will," he said. "But we must survive first." The girls leaned close, sharing warmth and comfort as the fire flickered. Suddenly, a scream echoed from the distant hills. Sharp and terrifying, the human froze. Listening intently, his hand on the girl's shoulders. "Stay quiet," he whispered, "and do not move." From the shadows, a patrol of aliens appeared, their armor glinting in the firelight. Scanning the area, the human pulled the girls behind a fallen tree. Heart pounding, the patrol passed, but one soldier lingered. Eyes sharp, as if sensing movement, the human held his breath, counting the seconds. Until finally, the alien continued on, disappearing into the night. The girls trembled, their bodies pressed against him, fear written on their faces. The older girl whispered, "Why? Why are they hunting us?" The human shook his head. "I don't know. But we cannot let them catch us." He looked at them, determination burning in his eyes. "We are not just running. We are surviving, and one day we will be free." The younger one clutched his sleeve, nodding, trusting him completely. The older girl's eyes glimmered with a mixture of fear and hope. Together, they sat by the fire, watching the stars appear above, each light a reminder of distant worlds. That night, the human kept watch, the girls sleeping at his side. He thought of the dangerous journey ahead, of the unknown lands and threats. But he also thought of their faces, their trust, and the small spark of hope in their eyes. He whispered to himself, "We will reach the Starship." No matter what, and for the first time in days, he felt that survival was more than just avoiding death. It was about protecting the innocent, about giving hope where there was none. The fire crackled softly. The grove's safe for now, but the journey was far from over. The secret Starship signaled the next morning. The human woke before the girls. Mist hung low over the grove, and the air smelled of wet earth and pine. He watched the girls sleep, their faces peaceful for the first time in days. But he knew the moment of calm would not last. The patrols were relentless, and the path ahead was filled with dangers. He packed their few belongings quietly, careful not to wake them abruptly. The older girl stirred, rubbing her eyes. "Are we moving again?" she whispered, her voice tired but steady. "Yes," the human replied softly. "We cannot stay here long." The younger one peeked from under her blanket, holding her carved Starship tightly. The human smiled faintly. "We are following the stars," he said, and the girls nodded, their trust growing stronger. They moved through a dense forest, branches scratching at their clothes. Every step was careful, every sound a potential alarm. The older girl carried the younger one's small bag, balancing it on her shoulder. The human led the way, scanning the treetops for signs of danger. Hours passed, and the forest grew darker, thicker. The human finally stopped at a small clearing. Hidden from the main trail, he knelt and checked the ground, finding signs that someone had been here before. Small footprints, faint marks of wheels, and broken twigs. "Someone passed this way recently," he murmured, his eyes narrowing. The older girl leaned in, curiosity mixing with fear. "Who could it be?" He shook his head. "I do not know." but maybe we can follow it. The girls nodded silently. Understanding the importance of careful movement, the human led them along the faint path. Moving slowly, listening for every sound. Suddenly, the younger one pointed upward, her small hand trembling. A glimmer of light reflected off something high in the trees. It's shining," she whispered. Wide-eyed, the human squinted, realizing it was a small device. Partially hidden among the branches, he climbed carefully and retrieved it, brushing off mud and leaves. It was a small communicator, alien in design, blinking faintly with a signal. This could be a guide," he said. Examining the device, the older girl reached out, touching it gently. "Will it take us to the Starship?" He nodded. "I hope it will," his voice steady but full of cautious optimism. The girls exchanged a look of wonder and hope. Their small faces lighting up, they followed the signal as it led them through twisting paths. Over shallow streams and past jagged rocks, the human made sure they stayed hidden. Avoiding patrols and wild creatures, every now and then, the device beeped softly. Confirming they were on the right track, the journey was exhausting, but the human encouraged them. "We are close. Keep moving." The older girl clutched his hand, her strength quiet but firm. The younger one trailed behind, occasionally stopping to watch small insects or birds, but always catching up. By late afternoon, the signal led them to the edge of a cliff, overlooking a valley bathed in golden light. In the distance, they saw it a starship, sleek and shining, docked in a hidden hangar. The human felt a mix of relief and caution. Knowing the journey was not over, he knelt beside the girls, pointing toward the starship. "That is our goal. But we must be careful." The older girl's eyes sparkled. We will reach it." He smiled. "Yes, if we stay together and keep moving." Suddenly, a loud noise echoed from the valley. Startling them, a patrol had discovered their presence, moving quickly toward the cliff edge. The human grabbed the girls. Pulling them behind rocks, he scanned the area, his heart racing. "We must climb down carefully," he whispered, "and not let them see us." The older girl nodded, holding the younger one close. Together, they began the slow descent, each step deliberate, testing rocks and branches. As they neared the bottom, the patrol's voices grew louder, angry and searching. The human paused, listening, then signaled the girls to move faster. They darted through undergrowth. The starship, now closer, a shining beacon of hope. The older girl looked back once, fear and determination in her eyes. The younger one clutched the starship figure, her small fingers white from the grip. The human led them to a hidden entrance, to the hangar, partially concealed by rocks and vines. He pushed the doors open slightly, letting the girls slip inside first. Inside, the starship hummed with quiet energy, its interior lit by soft blue lights. The girls gasped, running to the nearest console. Their eyes wide with wonder, the human followed, closing the doors behind them. For a moment, they were safe. Surrounded by advanced technology and alien design, the older girl turned to him. You brought us here," her voice full of awe. He nodded, exhausted but relieved. "Yes. And now we can find our way home, or to a place where you will be safe." The younger one held up her carved figure, placing it on the console. It seemed to glow faintly in response, as if recognizing the presence of the starship. The human smiled. Feeling a strange mix of pride and hope, the journey had been dangerous, filled with fear and uncertainty. But here, in the glow of the starship, he saw the first real chance for the girls' future. And he knew that no matter what came next, he would protect them, guide them, and keep them safe. The unexpected Alice's starship's interior hummed softly, a strange but calming sound. The human guided the girls to a small control room, its walls lined with blinking lights and alien panels. The older girl touched the buttons carefully, her eyes wide. The younger one clutched her starship figure tightly, her tiny fingers brushing the smooth metal of the console. The human examined the readings, noticing that the Starship was partially powered but needed someone skilled to fully activate it. He frowned, thinking the girls were clever but not trained to fly a ship, and the patrols were still searching outside. Suddenly, a low thrum echoed through the hangar, like footsteps, careful and measured. The human froze. Motioning the girls to hide behind a large console, shadows appeared in the doorway. Two figures, humanoid but unlike any species he had seen. They carried no weapons, but their eyes were sharp, alert, and filled with curiosity. The human raised a hand slowly, trying to show they meant no harm. The older girl peeked from behind the console, her heart racing. One of the figures stepped forward, speaking in a language he did not understand. But the tone was calm, almost friendly, and the human gestured for them to stay. The second figure reached into a pouch and pulled out a small holographic device, pressing buttons that lit up blue symbols. The first figure nodded, and both smiled. Faintly, the human realized, somehow, these beings were trying to communicate, and possibly help. He nodded slowly, and the figures relaxed. Stepping fully into the hangar, the older girl whispered, Are they going to hurt us?" The human shook his head. "No. I think they are our allies." The younger one hugged her Starship figure closer, her small body tense but curious. One of the alien beings extended a hand, and the human carefully took it, shaking gently. The figure pointed to the Starship's control panel, then to themselves, motioning to show they could help operate it. Relief washed over the human, and he gestured for the girls to come out from hiding. The older girl stepped forward, awe in her eyes. The younger one followed, still clutching her figure. Together, they watched as the aliens moved with skill and precision, activating the Starship systems. Lights brightened, panels hummed, and the ship's engines responded with a soft, steady vibration. The human felt a surge of hope, realizing they could escape the patrols and reach safety. But the moment of relief was brief. A loud alarm blared through the hangar. Red lights flashing. The patrols had discovered the Starship, their voices shouting orders in the distance. The human grabbed the girls, pushing them behind the nearest console. The aliens glanced at the human, then quickly began adjusting shields and energy fields. The older girl watched in fascination. They are protecting us." The human nodded. "Yes. But we must move quickly." The patrols stormed into the hangar, their armor glinting, weapons drawn. The human realized they would not be able to fight them all, not without the Starships help. One of the aliens gestured urgently, pointing to a small launch corridor. The human understood, nodding, "We will go now." He grabbed the girls, leading them toward the corridor. The younger one tripped slightly, and the human caught her just in time, holding her close. The older girl ran ahead, determined but careful, her eyes fixed on the glowing corridor lights. The aliens formed a barrier behind them, energy shields rising, blocking the patrols. The human glanced back, seeing the soldiers hesitate. Frustrated by the unexpected defense, he turned forward. Pushing the girls into the ship's main cabin, the older girl climbed into a seat, and the younger one sat beside her, trembling but safe. The human moved to the pilot's controls, studying the strange symbols, trying to understand the alien guidance system. One of the alien beings stepped forward, gesturing and pointing, showing him how to activate the engine safely. The human followed their instructions carefully, hands moving over the controls with precision. The hum of the engines grew louder, and the hangar doors began to open automatically. The patrols shouted, rushing to block their exit, but the alien shields flared brightly, forcing them back. The human's heart pounded in his chest, adrenaline sharp and hot. He pressed the final sequence, and the Starship lifted off. Gliding smoothly into the sky, the patrols scattered, unable to reach them, their shouts fading into the distance. The older girl cheered softly, clapping her Hands. The younger one leaned back, wide-eyed. Watching the stars streak past the windows, the human exhaled deeply, relief and exhaustion washing over him. The aliens gave a faint nod, their expressions calm but satisfied. The human smiled. "Thank you. You saved us." The older girl hugged his arm tightly. We are alive because of you." The younger one held her starship figure up to the light. It seemed to glow brighter, as if celebrating their survival, as the starship rose higher. Leaving the planet behind, the human thought about the journey ahead. There would be more dangers, more challenges. But for the first time in days, he felt a sense of safety and hope. The girls were alive, protected, and now guided by unexpected allies. Together, they would face whatever came next, their bond stronger than ever. And somewhere in the distance, the glow of distant stars promised a new beginning, a future waiting for them beyond the reaches of fear and darkness. Secrets of the starship glided through space, its engines humming with steady power. The human sat at the control panel. Studying the alien symbols and lights, the older girl leaned over his shoulder, her eyes wide with curiosity. The younger one sat on a nearby seat, holding her carved starship, tracing the patterns with small fingers. For a moment, silence filled the cabin, a calm after the storm. But the human knew the journey was far from over. He pressed a few buttons, following the instructions the aliens had shown him. The ship responded immediately, panels lighting up and engines adjusting their course. A holographic map appeared, showing countless stars and planets. The older girl gasped. So many worlds. "Yes," the human said softly. "And we have to choose the right one." The younger one pointed at a blinking dot. "That one. Can it be safe?" He studied the map carefully. "Possibly. But we must be careful." Suddenly, a loud beep sounded from the console. The human jumped slightly, his hands moving quickly to the controls. A message appeared, written in symbols he did not fully understand. One of the aliens from the hangar appeared as a hologram, glowing faintly. The figure gestured urgently, pointing to a distant star cluster. The human nodded, trying to follow. "They want us to go there. But why?" The older girl watched closely. "Maybe there is help there," she shrugged. "Or maybe danger. We cannot be sure." The starship turned smoothly, navigating through asteroid fields and nebulas. The girls clung to their seats as bright lights flashed outside. The human explained, "This ship has secrets, hidden systems that can protect us, but we must learn them quickly." The older girl leaned forward, examining the control panels. Her fingers hovered over the buttons, sensing patterns in the lights. The younger one studied her starship figure, and the glowing symbol seemed to respond. It was as if the figure itself knew the ship's secrets, guiding her small hands. Hours passed, and the human discovered hidden compartments in the ship, containing tools and devices unknown to him. One device seemed to detect approaching ships, blinking red when danger neared. Another controlled shields and energy barriers, stronger than he expected. The older girl touched a screen, and the ship responded, opening a small hatch revealing a storage area filled with supplies. The younger one clutched the starship figure to her chest, whispering, "We are safe, right?" The human smiled faintly. "For now. Yes, but we must stay alert." Suddenly, the starship trembled slightly, a warning light flashing. The human leaned forward, analyzing the data. A small fleet of unknown ships appeared on the holographic map, approaching quickly. The older girls' eyes widened. "Enemies? They are coming." The younger one hid behind a console, trembling. The human took a deep breath, steadying himself. "We have allies," he said, pointing to the holographic image of the alien figures from the hangar. "They can guide us. But we must act fast." He pressed a series of buttons, activating hidden thrusters. The starship jumped forward with sudden speed, weaving through the approaching fleet. The older girl helped, reading patterns and suggesting directions. The younger one held her starship. Figure up, as if it gave them luck. The pursuing ships fired briefly, but the starship's shields absorbed the blasts. Bright lights flashed across the cabin, illuminating their determined faces. Finally, the alien hologram appeared again, pointing toward a concealed portal among a cluster of asteroids. The human understood immediately: a hiding place. A safe route. He guided the girls as the starship entered the narrow corridor. Weaving past massive rocks, the older girl cheered quietly. "We made it. We are safe." The younger one hugged her starship figure tightly. "We did it." The human allowed himself a small smile. But he knew this was only temporary. The secrets of the ship were still unfolding, and they had no idea what awaited them beyond the portal. Once inside the hidden area, the starship slowed and the lights dimmed. The human looked around, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. The older girl leaned close, whispering, "You saved us." Again, the younger one nestled beside her. Holding her starship figure like a talisman, he nodded. We saved each other, but deep inside, he knew the greatest challenge was yet to come. Somewhere in the vastness of space, the truth of the ship, the aliens, and the girl's past would reveal itself. And they had to be ready for it. Together, the starship hummed quietly in the darkness, hiding among the asteroids, its secrets waiting to be discovered. The girls watched the stars. Feeling a mixture of fear and hope, the humans studied the controls, determined to unlock every hidden system. He knew that only by mastering the starship could they survive, escape danger, and find the place where the girls truly belonged. And as he looked at their small, trusting faces, he made a silent promise. No matter the challenge, no matter the enemy, he would protect them, guide them, and uncover the secrets of the starship. Because their future depended on it, Return of the Orphans, the starship glided silently through the dark expanse of space. The humans sat at the controls, eyes fixed on the distant stars. The older girl leaned against the panel, her fingers brushing the glowing lights. The younger one held her carved starship figure close, whispering softly to it for 10 long years. They had lived separately. Now, finally, they were returning to a place they could call home. The human's heart pounded as he entered the coordinates for the planet. He glanced at the girls, seeing excitement and fear in their faces. "This is it," he whispered. "We are almost there." The older girl's eyes widened. "Do you think they will remember us?" The younger one tilted her head. "Will they be happy to see us?" The human smiled faintly. "We will find out soon enough." As the starship approached the planet, a shimmering city came into view. Tall towers reflected the light of the distant sun, and starships moved like glowing fireflies. The girls gasped, clutching the seats, their eyes wide with awe. It's beautiful," the older girl breathed. The younger one hugged her figure tighter. "We are going home." But their arrival did not go unnoticed. A fleet of sleek ships approached, their lights bright and blinding. The human's hands tightened on the controls, ready for any challenge. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the starship, calm but firm. "Identify yourselves." The humans straightened, showing no fear. "I am human. These girls, they are orphans I protected." The voice paused. Then a calm authority replied, "We are the leaders of this city. Proceed to landing Bay Alpha." The human guided the ship carefully through the city. The girls watched in silence, hearts racing with anticipation. The landing bay doors opened slowly, and the starship descended. People gathered, staring with surprise and recognition. The older girl's eyes filled with tears. I see them. They remember." The younger one whispered, "They know us." As the starship landed, a group of dignified figures approached. The human opened the ramp, and the girls stepped out cautiously. One figure knelt, arms open. "My daughters, you have returned." The older girl ran forward, embracing the figure. The younger one followed, clinging tightly, her Starship figure falling to the ground. The human watched, a lump in his throat. He had fed them, protected them, and now he saw the reward of his years of care. The city's people gathered, curious and amazed. Whispers spread quickly. The orphans, they survived, and returned with a human. The human smiled faintly, stepping back, giving them their moment. The older girl looked at him, eyes shining. "We owe everything to you." The younger one added softly, "We would not be here without you." He shook his head. "No. You survived because of your courage, your heart." Suddenly, a delegation of the city's council arrived. They bowed respectfully to the human, acknowledging his bravery. "You have done something no human has done before," one of them said. "You have protected our future and our children." The human felt a strange warmth in his chest. All the years of struggle, danger, and uncertainty had led to this moment. The girl stood beside him, proud and safe. The older girl took the human's hand. "You came for us." Even when no one else did, the younger one nodded. "You are our family too." The human smiled, feeling the weight of the years lift from his shoulders. He realized that home was not only a place, but the people who trusted and loved him. The city's leaders invited them to a grand celebration. Music filled the air, lights sparkled, and laughter echoed through the streets. The girls twirled with joy, their fears forgotten. At the edge of the crowd, the human watched them, a soft smile on his face. He had fed them, guided them, and now he could see the life he had helped restore. The older girl looked at him one last time, eyes filled with gratitude. The younger one held her Starship figure high, as if to signal victory. The human knew that their story would be told for years, of a human who risked everything for two orphan girls, and of the courage, trust, and love that survived across 10 long years. As the stars above shone brightly, the human turned back to the ship. There were still challenges ahead, new dangers in the galaxy, but for now, he allowed himself a moment of peace. The orphans were home. The city had welcomed them, and hope burned brightly in the hearts of all. And as the sun set over the towers, the human whispered, "We made it together."